All right, guys, here we go. The map as Tal'Darim altar, as Kevin just told us. And leading off for the team Evil Geniuses is our purple Zerg player. It is EG.IdrA.
Who is
he's six pooling. Okay, well, so I didn't even really need to introduce him. In the upper left, we have our blue Protoss player from the team Dream Team Gaming. That was a redundant use of the word team in honor of SCAR.
That's right.
I will speak English foolishly because he's so good.
EG.IdrA, welcome to lower round 2. This is his entrance, a 6 pool, and it looks like he is going to make a drone after that. He'll probably produce one more and then a bunch of Zerglings.
Here's the thing, though. Legitimately speaking, a 6 pool is a great decision for Tal'Darim altar. It really is, because it's, even though it's a big map, yeah, you don't know where your opponent is, you can usually scout pretty consistently and get there pretty quick. So if the Protoss does go for like a Nexus first, which many Protoss do, then you're going to be able to do some decent damage. You're going to be able to kill the pylon. You're not going to have to worry about a ramp to go up to get into their base. And okay, so it is going to be a Forge first for SCAR, but still. Oh, and EG.IdrA gets scouted immediately. That's right. That might give EG.IdrA a little bit of an idea where his opponent is, but it's kind of debatable. Well, so things could have been going a little bit better for EG.IdrA.
That's right.
So
because he got scouted so quick, immediately SCAR quit producing probes, threw down that forge right away. We do see the pylon going inside of the mineral line, so that's his pretty predictable response. We'll see that photon cannon up at the front, and he will be able to hopefully stabilize. We'll see if EG.IdrA can get in there, though, and it looks like he is going to run towards his opponent here in the top left-hand corner. He's going to find it with the Overlord very quickly. Yep,
that's right, running down to the middle, and the Overlord will get there just barely in time. There's a forge, and immediately the Zerglings do change course. The cannon has not even been started yet. A cannon in the mineral line being built first. EG.IdrA is going to be able to kill this forge and the pylon after he realizes he won't be able to do a lot of damage in the mineral line.
That's right.
From there, I mean, SCAR, yeah, he's going to lose that stuff, but he's not really in the worst position. I mean, he'll still be able to get a gateway started fairly soon and be able to kind of continue to tech very safely on one base from there.
That's right. Sorry, guys, my mouse is bugging out a little bit, as you can kind of see on screen there. So trying to get things under control here. Looks like he is going to try and save things up at the front with that photon cannon. Of course, EG.IdrA is going ahead and producing things back at home. SCAR going to lose a probe or two, possibly trying to get it out of there, and does. He has actually done a magnificent job of mitigating any damage so far. EG.IdrA has killed one worker up to now, but that's really all the damage that's been done so far.
Yeah, EG.IdrA, though, really causing SCAR to lose a lot of mining time. I got to say, SCAR really keeping maybe a few more probes than you need to off of his minerals right now. You can see EG.IdrA really trying to get the probes to chase him all over the base, because EG.IdrA knows this. I mean, SCAR may have pulled his workers a little bit with this one.
I've got to say, though, SCAR handled this in such a way that I don't see a lot of Protoss players do. A lot of them will just give up the forge and the pylon up at the front, because it's really not the biggest hit in the world. I mean, if you lose that, but you're still ahead on economy, whatever. Just remake with gateways, re-expand after that, you're fine. But SCAR was actually able to not just keep most of his probes alive. Don't forget, he lost one worker and maintain a supply advantage and maintain an overall worker advantage, but he was also able to save the pylon and forge up at the front with another photon cannon.
Well, EG.IdrA actually made 2 more Zerglings. He needs to go after this pylon that's being warped. Warped? Are we going to Star Trek
I was wondering.
That's right. It's a Klingon pylon. No, never mind. It was being warped in, and the Zerglings will chase away that probe. So a few more Zerglings being used by EG.IdrA to do that. Didn't get to build a drone with that particular larva. But, you know, overall, he's not too far behind, per se, compared to his opponent, because SCAR has not gotten his Nexus up yet. So could be worse.
That's right. And SCAR doing a pretty cool thing, and should have enough resources in a second to put down his Nexus while he wards these Zerglings away, and indeed does. So SCAR is playing pretty creatively right now, but EG.IdrA really hasn't taken a lot of pressure himself. Yes, he's been behind economically because of that early pool, but since then, he is sitting on 2 bases now. He'll be adding on a second queen in just a second.
And double gas actually being taken by EG.IdrA right now at a very, very low drone count. Interesting. I think we might see EG.IdrA follow this up with a Roach-Ling all-in, which is a very common way to follow up this very early pool if it's not completely successful in shutting down your opponent. We used to see lots of players like Lenok, for instance, do this really, really well in ZVP. And, you know, if that happens and SCAR only has 1 cannon at the main, that could end up working out pretty well for EG.IdrA. He could get through that wall.
And looks like SCAR going to go ahead and continue to produce Zealots out for now. That is actually his 3rd that's coming out at the moment. Just more drones up for IDrA, of course, wants to reinvest back into his economy very, very quickly.
Yep.
Only 5 drones on gas at the moment. It looks like that is very calculated, and we'll see for what purpose here in just a bit. Zergling speed is on the way, but it looks like he's going to wait just a little bit for layer tech, etc.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I feel like it maybe actually is a mistake that he only has 2 on that 1 gas. I mean, this isn't the type of situation that you would really have, you know, nailed down to that specific of a level, I think. But it looks like SCAR trying to get back into the base with some Zealots. Do a little bit of scouting. Nice round by IDrA. Oh, but he lets the Zealot go. The Zealot's going to get in and see these 2 gas, potentially. That's huge. Oh, I think he saw 1 gas, maybe?
Let me find out. Let's see
what
here.
What did he see?
Saw 1
Only
gas.
1. Okay, so that should be pretty normal. I mean, 1 gas shouldn't surprise him too much. If he had seen 2, that would definitely kind of raise his suspicions a bit. And a very quick lair from IDrA, actually. So forget the Roach Ling all in. It's actually going to be, I think, Spire play from him.
And we do know that Mutalisk are very powerful on this map. Now, SCAR, of course, is going for a Stargate himself, and it's back behind his middle line where it's a little bit less likely to be scouted.
Yep.
And we'll see if SCAR is going to be able to put on some pressure that way, or how heavily he does want to commit to the Phoenix play, which may come out here in just a bit. Of course, every time I see Tal'Darim and I know mutas are coming out, I always secretly hope that we're going to see multiple Stargates and Fleet Beacon for the express purpose of that Phoenix range upgrade.
Oh, yeah. Good old
Anion Pulse Crystals.
It took me a moment, but I remembered it. Anion Pulse Crystals. The lair finishing right now, and what will it be? Will it be that Spire, or will it be something a little bit different? IDrA not showing us just yet. A Hydra Den. Oh, it's going to be a Nidus bust. And there's that Nidus network going down right now. IDrA used to do this build on this map all the time. Actually, you know, now that I see this, I'm kicking myself because, yeah, IDrA used to do this all the time on Tal'Darim Altar. I should have known.
And he does have an Overlord in position. It looks like the Phoenix was rallied across the map, so SCAR may not have caught a glimpse of that. It would have been sitting just outside of the Phoenix range. So,
and is he going to see the Nidus Worm and the Hydra Den? There's a Hydra Den, and there's the Nidus Worm.
And he clicks on it.
Scouting that so well. Brilliant decision to go for a Phoenix right after having to kind of deal with that early pressure from his opponent.
Yeah, and it looks like he is going to do a nice job picking off this Overlord. We'll see if a Nidus Worm gets put down, first of all, by anything, as we do have another Overlord sitting above this nice little space where it can't be seen right away. Will, though, by this Void Ray.
First Nidus Worm is on the way right now. IDrA putting it down by that location. I do like that. This is the idea behind the Nidus bust. You don't put it in their mains. You put it just outside of their base so that your Nidus Worm can get your Hydralisks there quickly. That's kind of the key. It looks like IDra's going to follow this up with some Spire play as well and a 3rd base, so maybe going to Broodlord's late game. But here come the Hydras.
That's right, making his way up to the front. There are a ton of Photon Cannons sitting there, though. But, of course, those Hydras are going to be able to range the Warp Gates up at the front, so it may open up enough of a gap in the wall here in a bit that he can start to flood with a few units through. In any case, though, it looks like IDrA is once again banking gas for a few mutas here later on. Just going to put on pressure with these Hydras at the beginning, possibly make his opponent overcommit, which he's done a good job of doing. That's a lot of Photon Cannons.
Yep, one of them firing right now. One Hydra does go down from the Photon Cannon, but IDrA has managed to take out the Gateway and the Forge, putting a lot of pressure on SCAR right now. But look at, all those cannons, man. I mean, IDra's not going to be able to break this, but that's okay. He doesn't plan on it. He's got the Spire on the way. This is actually just some pressure rather than some sort of Nidus all-in or something like that. This is actually really, really intelligent play by IDrA, just poking away, doing what he can with that, containing his opponent and getting his opponent to think that he's all in, while secretly he prepares a Spire back at home, and there's going to be some mutas coming out, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Has enough for 9 here in a second. Actually decides to put up that +1 attacks, of course, and will only put up 7 for the time being. Does he have any available larvae? He does not. Just waiting for an inject to finish once again, and can add on a couple more. Now, his Protoss opponent, of course, while taking out the Nidus Worm, is going for a Dark Shrine. So, with the Observer overhead, it looks like he's going to be able to put a stop to this creep spread, which was oh so annoying. Oh, and IDrA trying to hide a base down at the bottom, but
he lets it finish too. Oh, wow.
By the Void Ray,
well, the mutas are coming, so IDrA confident that he can kill off that Void Ray before the hatchery dies, but it's going to get pretty low. And he might have to trade a Mutalisk for it as well. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see if the if this Void Ray turns around. Looks like it's just going to town on the hatchery. 300 hit points and falling, but the Void Ray does go down, so the hatchery survives with just 20% of its life.
Yeah, IdrA really knowing the timing it takes for Void Ray to kill a hatchery. Suppose if you play enough games as Zerg, that does happen over time. Forge going down now for SCAR, his rebuilt Forge, rather, trying to get some of those upgrades going yet again. He's got a good amount of gateways. He's solidly on 2 bases, but he really could use that third. The problem is going to be that once he starts dealing with these Mutalisks, it's going to get a little bit tough.
That's right. But now, IdrA is going to be sitting on 4-base economy here in just a bit. He has restarted the creep spread around the left-hand side as well, so we can keep cycling that back around to his opponent's base and be oh so annoying with that. DTs are being sent out, though, but once again, IdrA already pretty prepared. No detection actually at this base. I saw Spore Crawlers coming up before. They are inside of the natural, and it looks like the main as well. Nothing, though, back over at his 4th.
Well, the DT's getting into that third base right now where there are no spores. IdrA making a huge mistake. He may lose his hatchery, but he is putting a lot of pressure on with these Mutalisks as well. The Phoenix is trying to chase him away just a little bit. Oh, man, and yeah, I think that hatchery may go down unless he gets an Overseer there very soon. 1 hatchery going down already.
Yeah, that's right. And it looks like this one may fall here in a second as well. No, he's able to save it with just 137 hit points, but a lot of things are being devastated. Back of the 4th, the hatchery went down. This Dark Templar kind of racking up the kills there.
Yeah, no kidding. DTs, pretty good units. And right now, all IdrA wants to do is just make Mutalisks. With this strategy on this map, literally you just make mutas. You have a couple lings to kind of be out there scouting and stuff, but overall you just try to overwhelm them. And look at that, Mutalisks doing their damage so quickly, depowering that robotics bay.
That's right. So already going through a couple of those. We do indeed have lots of Phoenixes coming up.
Oh, he might get the Twilight Council.
And it looks like it's very low. Oh, he can't quite get it, though.
IdrA.
Trying to cycle back and pick off Phoenixes, which he's actually doing pretty successfully.
Oh, man, Blink is so close, though. Oh, that's huge, actually, that SCAR manages to save the Twilight Council for Blink to finish. That, oh man, if you are a Zerg player and you can kill the Twilight Council before Blink finishes, you are just going to be the happiest Zerg in the world. Wow, I'm
more
actually
so than happy Zerg?
Yeah, you're going to be the happiest Zerg. You're going to be the happiest.
Oh,
not happy Zerg, happiest Zerg. I wonder if IdrA didn't realize the Twilight Council was that low, because stopping Blink like that, is worth losing a few mutas in that situation. But to be fair, it's tough to see if there is something building on the Twilight Council as well.
And, he did quite a bit of damage, depowered a lot of structures, knocked out some pylons, took out most of the Phoenix Force, which is actually pretty good for him. The upgrades for SCAR are still 0-0 at the moment, though. Mutalisks are about ready to get +2 attacks.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, that's just kind of how this style goes. And look at that. So many mutas that IdrA can just kind of dart in there and kill a Stalker left and right, producing 3 more on the way. All you do right now is it's literally just mutas and upgrades. You very seldom get tier 3 tech with this style of play. The drone versus DT usually goes pretty well for the Dark Templar.
Yeah, he won in that case, but it was a narrow victory.
That's right.
3 more Mutalisks coming up now. It looks like SCAR's going to be on 3 bases here in a second, but of course he's almost mined out his main, so not a lot of economy being gotten from that. And he is once again spending so much money on photon cannons. We'll take a look at these as these mutas duck back in, trying to take out these Stalkers. Nice. Looks like he is just going to go ahead and try and DPS them down. He's picked off a few, but SCAR backing up, hopefully, so we can get some reinforcements in.
Yeah, it looks like SCAR just didn't have enough in his main defending. Nice Blink up there to pick off another Mutalisk or 2 possibly. SCAR, though, really needs to kind of play the defensive game until he gets Psionic Storm. Once he gets that upgrades for his High Templar, he's going to be able to kind of defend with a much smaller defense and be able to start to be out on the map, killing bases, keeping his opponent from just taking everything.
Storm coming up, as we said, and the Templars finally starting to appear on the field. Now, SCAR did have 23 photon cannons, as I just took a look there. So, yeah, pretty good defense back at home. Hive Tech coming up now for IdrA as he does research pathogen glands for eventual infestors and super high tech. We'll see if he ends up going down the Broodlord route or what he's going to choose here in just a bit. So, that's a pretty good anti-air defense, honestly, up for SCAR over at the natural.
Yeah, cannons are pretty good, but here comes IdrA. He's got Hydras, Lings, and Mutalisks, and this may be enough. He sees the Templar, he wants to try to avoid it, but yeah, there's no Storm yet done.
That's right. He does force it to turn into an Archon for now, though, and We'll see. Yeah, looks like that does finish up with +1 attacks now. So SCAR trying to get some upgrades finished. But once again, IDrA, even though he's just getting +1/+1 for his ground forces, or did finish up +1 carapace, I should say, +2 attacks for those air forces are already finished.
Yep, the supply does continue to increase for SCAR, so I mean, IDrA hasn't really been able to do enough damage quite yet to shut his opponent down completely. We see him going for that second Spire as well, so he can continue to get upgrades while he goes for that dark, or not dark shrine, for that greater Spire to get Broodlords out.
And pretty good Spinecrawler forest being established, but only a few heavy constructed so far. Archons are pretty much good against everything that's inside of IDra's army right now. But, of course, IDrA can reproduce his forces pretty easily and delay so well with the Spinecrawler forest.
Yeah, okay. So SCAR is going to head down for that base that he saw earlier. But the question is, will IDrA let him? Some Zerglings deciding to kind of donate themselves there as well. And so in IDra's position, one of the things he needs to do is kind of find that balance between harassing his opponent and engaging that army, you know, making sure that his opponent doesn't get into his third base location, doesn't find his fourth base. So it's tough. I mean, IDrA really wants to do damage now, but it may not be the best time.
All right, looks like he's trying to establish a few more Spinecrawler storms, hitting a few units down around the bottom. Fungal Grow's pinning a couple of units in place as well. The Hydralisk dealing out some pretty good DPS from the back at the same time, and SCAR is going to have all of his forces crushed here. A huge advantage now for IDrA.
Yeah, 100 supply up. I mean, just the Mutalisk count got so high that IDrA was able to kind of maneuver around and do a ton of damage there as well. Storm ended up coming a little bit late for SCAR, and I mean, a lot of it too is that he built so many cannons. I think he may have overmade cannons just a little bit. Obviously, it will keep you safe, but it will kind of hold you back when you want to expand, when you want to build really anything with minerals, to have that many cannons.
And IDrA just finishing up that greater Spire now. Tons of upgrades on the way. Those very important Adrenal Glands, +3 Zerg flyer attacks that'll make his eventual whiffs on the fungal there to try and catch the DT, but that's all right. But I mean, it just makes that eventual Broodling Strike so powerful.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, IDra's going to have a really, really strong late game army. He's already maxed out, so he can go ahead and use some of these units to do damage. He can trade okay right now. It's going to be fine. And the storms for SCAR, pretty good on the Lings and Infestors, but not so much on the Mutas, and those are the real damage dealers right now.
That's right. So unfortunately, SCAR has to blink everything back. It's still a over 50 supply advantage now for IDrA. He is producing 7 Corruptors, so those are all going to become Broodlords here in just a bit. But SCAR was able to pretty cost-efficiently defend there, but of course it just frees up the supply that IDrA needs now for those Broodlords.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it. But SCAR, I feel like he kind of knows that he's going to have an opportunity very soon. Whenever a Zerg tries to go for this later game Broodlord switch after going into very heavy mutaplay, there certainly is a window of time where you can do damage to them as a Protoss player. So SCAR, you know, will he be kind of observant enough to take advantage of that?
And unfortunately losing a lot of probes in transit there, so he was at quite a few more workers than that. So well done by IDrA. Taking a look around though, our first few Broodlords are popping out as IDrA goes through his available banked resources, but he's going to have a staggeringly powerful army. 5, now 6 Broodlords morphing in at the same time.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty frightening, and look at this, trying to harass his base. Muta's not really paying as much attention. IDrA does lose a couple without doing as much damage as I think he would have preferred. But right now, I mean, IDrA can just kind of afford to play a little bit more of a passive game as he waits for his upgrades. Oh, he could have surrounded those Templar. That would have been a great snipe at IDrA. Just kind of being a little bit patient, just biding his time at this point. He knows he's ahead. All he has to do is keep that lead, wait for his late game death ball to come out, and he should be able to win this game.
And that being said, SCAR just mining off 2 bases for now, so his economy's getting back in shape, but unfortunately for him, looks like he blinks up and is able to ward away the units on the ground for IDrA. IDrA is now sitting on 5 bases, and most of those bases are mining at the moment, so his economy is actually pretty significantly better than SCAR's is.
Yep, pretty much. And look at those upgrades continuing to go. It's going to be 3/3 melee, +1 attack for flyers, and he's got +1 armor coming as well. Like you mentioned a little bit earlier, man, those Broodlings are going to be so strong. And this is just such a great location to siege up with Broodlords. It becomes very difficult for Protoss to engage Zerg in this position. IDra's just looking great, man.
And those Broodlords so powerful. Broodling Strike dealing out 26 damage as the Broodlings hit, and then those Broodlings are on 2/2 afterwards as well, as we mentioned. So everything from Neural Parasite to 3/3 upgrades, even to Pneumatized Carapace is coming up all at once. And Storm's hitting a couple of units on the ground there. He was able to chain the Storm quite a few units, but he just doesn't have the muscle to back this up. And the Broodlords are just slamming through everything.
Yep, IdrA though not quite with enough Fungals to handle it all. He does need to keep those Broodlords safe, and right now they're looking a little bit vulnerable.
That's right. A couple of them are going to fall, but Scar's honestly losing the vast majority of his forces here, down 100 supply to his opponent, and still wasn't able to kill this army.
Wow, that was actually pretty close. And GG, EG.IdrA taking game 1. Dignitas SCAR losing his game and giving his team a 0-1.